Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away.
Growing up in the 1940s, we grew up on a plantation, and my parents was farmers, and we had to go to the field. We had to chop cotton, pick cotton. We didn't have air conditioning, and it was hot. We didn't have bathrooms. We had outside houses, and it was rough growing up in the 40s compared to now. Some of the challenges I faced in the 40s was going to the field, chopping cotton, picking cotton. We had 2 bedrooms. Mom and Dad had one and the children had the other one. And we didn't have washing machines then. We had to wash clothes on rub boards. Our upbringing was very strict. My dad was a deacon and my mom was the mother of the church. And they believed in the Bible. And the Bible says you bring up a child in the way it should go, because when they get old, they won't depart from it. And they believe in biblical teaching. And they were very strict with that. And we was taught to obey our parents, not only our parents, but other adults. And if we didn't obey, if we act disorderly from around our parent, and another parent would see it, they could discipline us. And when we got home, we got disciplined all over again. To obey, go to school, to get an education, and to obey the Word of God, to go to church, to get a job, take care of your own home. I had to go to the field like everybody else did, but then I was sickly, so I stayed at home, and at the age of 7, I learned to clean house, I learned to wash, I learned to iron, and I learned to cook, because my mom and dad and my siblings, they had to go to the field, and I didn't go to the field as much, so I kept house. Going to the field, we had to go to the field. That was our living. Mom and Dad was a farmer, so they had to go. You know, this was going to work every day, just like to go to work every day now. Well, then in the country, you went to that field every day, and you chopped your cotton. You got home in the evening. You worked your garden, and when they got home, house was clean, supper was ready. That was my chore to do. Our dues is to go to school when we could go to school, was to go to school and to get a learning, and to obey everybody. And if we didn't obey, well, we know what's going to happen when we got home. And to go to church, to fear God. Yeah, we were brought up to fear God. We didn't get punishments. we got discipline. We got switches. We got whipped. And today they call, if you spanked your child today or whipped your child, they call it child abuse. But then our parents, our foreparents, they got it from the white man, or the Caucasian, because back in slavery, this was the way the Caucasian did the black man. They whipped them and they beat them. And so with that, then they thought this was the way you were supposed to be disciplined. And so it just came up in the black race. If you didn't obey your parents, you was going to get a whooping. And then it was not child abuse. We had to go to the tree and get switches for our parents to whoop us with if we did something wrong. And we know not to bring a little bit of switch. We didn't know to bring a good one in. And our parents whipped us with those switches, and we had whips on us. But now if you put a whip on a child, they'd come take the child out of the home. They say it was child abuse now. But then it was not child abuse. You got a whipping. The worst punish that I ever experienced was when I ran from my dad when he was going to whip me. And so he was going to whip me, and I knew I had did wrong, and Dad was going to whip me, and when he got at me to whip me, I ran. And I ran for about, I think I ran about a mile. And someone cut me off, because I didn't know where I was going to run to, but I was running because I was afraid of that whipping that I was going to get. And so that was the worst experience I ever experienced, because when my dad disciplined you, when you did something, he might not have gotten you right then. But when he did, he was going to make you remember everything you did. He was going to pop you, and he going to say, remember when? And he going to pop you again and say, remember when you did this or when you did that? And those whippings was the worst one that I ever got. So I know not to do that, you know. I remember that like it was yesterday. My mom then came home for lunch, and she told me to go over to her sister and get some sugar. And I stayed longer than I should have stayed. And so when I got back, I was going to get a whooping. And so I ran. But what was instilled in us was to obey. Because if you didn't obey, you were going to get punished. And then you did not see jailhouses overcrowded because children obeyed. Nowadays, the jails are overcrowded and children are killing children. That didn't happen back then in the 40s. We all got along with one another, and we loved everybody. We was taught to love everybody. Even the ones that do you wrong, you love them as well. And that's what was instilled in us. Because the Lord loved everybody. I don't care what you have done or what you might have did, the Lord loved you. He don't like what you did, but He loved you. Those punishments mold me for better. and made me a better person. I imagine I could have been a worse person, but it molded me to be a better person and to obey. Parenting took more time with their children and talked with their children. The children wouldn't be like they is now. Mom and Dad was a discipline. We could get by with Mom, but we couldn't get by with Dad. And it all depends, because sometimes we could get by with Dad and couldn't get by with Mom. So Mom and Dad was a discipline in our family. If you were doing wrong and another adult, would see you, they saw you doing wrong, then they would discipline you too. And when you got home, you got another discipline. So it was bringing up. Your neighbor could whip your child then, but now your neighbor cannot whip your child, because your neighbor whipped your child now, it's going to be a fight or a killing. They got it from slavery. Our foreparents was beaten and knocked around, and so this is where it came from. We didn't know anything about child abuse. We didn't know anything about that. Well, if we did something wrong, then we look for that wrong. We're gonna get punished for that wrong that we did. And the only way we didn't, our parents didn't know anything about it.